cornbread sticks made on a pan. I got at an auction that was super rusty that I restored. The circle has been completed. Let me show you how I did it.
Unfortunately, I don't have video of the cleaning process, but I did get this at an auction. And to clean it out, I used a lot of salt, a little bit of olive oil, and a lot of elbow grease with a toothbrush. Now it looks so much better. Now we're gonna re-season it.
So I'm just gonna take some of this grapeseed oil and I'm going to, this one's a little tricky because it's got all these little, you know, divots and everything. Oh, there was a lot. And we're gonna cover this with grapeseed oil and then we're gonna mash it all around. And then we're going to try and get as much oil out of it as we can, because some of the problems is that people will put a ton of oil on there and then they will put it in the oven and let it sit, and it's gonna get all sticky and gross. You wanna put oil on here, make sure it's well covered, but then wipe most of the oil off and then put it in the oven. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. So right now I'm just trying to coat it all over. And I have actually never done one of these corn stick pans, so this is going to be a new experience. I usually just do the skillets or the other kind of pans. Get a little bit more. Now you can kind of see here that it's, let's see if I can get a little closer. You can see that it's shiny, right? And we want it to be well oiled, but we don't want it dripping. And now that we can tell that it's all covered, we're actually going to take a bunch of this off. We're going to take another towel or paper towel or something that's not really linty, and we are going to wipe most of this off. Again, you want to make sure that you get a lot of the oil off. A lot of people will just leave a ton of oil on there, and that is not the thing to do. I would rather do this 3 or 4 times slowly than try to goop all that oil on there at once and not get it all off, and then you've got a really sticky mess and it's really gross and difficult to deal with. So we are going to stick this in an oven at 450. The reason I'm doing that is the smoke point of grapeseed oil is like 421 or something, and so you want to put it in the oven at a point that is higher than the smoke point of the oil that you're using. At least that's what I was told. Now we are going to take this, we're actually going to flip it upside down and put it in the oven. Carefully. 40 minutes and we'll see what happens. All right, now this sat in the oven for about an hour and a half after it was done baking, and so it cooled off, obviously, because I'm touching it. And this is what it turned out as after the first coating. I'm not sure if I'm going to try another coat or just go with it and try and make some. I've never used a pan like this before. It's an adventure. So I finally found myself some buttermilk at the store, so we are going to go ahead and make this cornbread. I'm going to make my regular cornbread recipe. I'm going to make the regular amount. I'm going to fill up the corn stick pan, and then whatever is extra I'll just make in the regular pan that I normally make my cornbread in. So I'm going to show you how I make my cornbread, and hopefully this is going to turn out with the new pan that we just restored. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're on any kind of diet, don't even continue watching this, because if you'll notice in my pans right here, I have a lot of butter, and I haven't even started making the recipe yet. There's a lot of butter in this recipe, and that's what makes it amazing, and sometimes that's just what you need to do, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is turn the oven on to 400 to preheat. And those pans that I stuck the butter in, we're actually going to put them into the oven while the oven is preheating and get the pans nice and hot, okay? This is one of like the hints to making good cornbread. And all you have to remember is that
You're going to have to pull these pans out to put the batter into it. Remember, the pans are hot. 400, preheating. All right, now we stick them in. Pan with butter going in the oven. Pan with butter going in the oven. I'm punting here. I'm just gonna make it the same way that I make my regular cornbread. So this is going in the oven. And then we're gonna get a pot holder out, a good old well-used pot holder. So Amy remembers that when she pulls those out, they're hot. The next part of the recipe is all that butter that's melting in the pan. We're actually going to take a good portion of that and we're going to pour it into the batter. You want to leave a little bit of the butter in the pan, swirl it around because that's going to be your grease for the pan basically, so the cornbread doesn't stick, but most of it's going to go into that batter we just made. It's so yummy. Stir that yummy butter in. Oh my word, y'all. Get that good and swirly up there, all around. Well, that was a mess. Don't do this. I like the way that looks a little better. So now I am just going to pour a little bit of batter in each of these corn things, and then I'm going to put the rest in the big pan. We're going to see what happens. Welcome to Punting with Amy in her kitchen. It's delightful. So let's try. No idea here. Gonna stick this in the oven. Oh! And the rest we're gonna put in here. So when I normally make this, a full batch of this in this pan takes about 25 to 30 minutes to bake at 400 degrees. This looks to be maybe half of what's normally in there, and I have no idea on the corn sticks. Let's get this in the oven and see what happens. Kind of a big spillover, but it works for a first time, right? Let's see if we can get them out. Because you can never have enough butter, when this big pan comes out of the oven, we always dot it with a little more butter while it cools, because why not? All right, now these are definitely done, and I obviously filled them a little too much, but we're gonna see what happens when we try to take them out. Also, I kind of sort of feel like you're taking your life into your hands with this corn stick pan because there's not really good grabby-on-y parts on it. So I'm lucky I didn't burn myself. I was using like 2 pot holders. I still almost felt like I was gonna drop it and there was really no good way to grab onto it. I don't know why I'm telling you that. Because I want you to be safe. Because I want you to have a good experience with your corn stick pan.
Came out. Woohoo! Well, looky there at that, we figured it out. Now all that's left to do is eat them. Should I tell my family that they're done? I don't know. I'm not sure. I have succeeded. I kind of feel like you're taking your life in your hands using that pan.
Why?
Because there's not really any
Grabby parts.
grabby parts and it's really hot.